Hello. Welcome to yet another phenomenal episode. We just want to continue with the conversation that we were having in the previous one. So, in this episode, we will break down what to do in order to take control of procrastination. Before we do that, I would love for Yogeshwari to share with us the biggest takeaways that you feel we discussed in the previous episode, which we can add as a continuation in this one, especially now that we are completely crushing through the solutions.
My biggest takeaway is I saw patterns when I was sharing about my thought process, my emotions, and my feelings. The biggest reason I couldn't see these patterns previously is because I never had the opportunity to share it outright. The best way to find patterns is to share them, either to a coach or through journaling or through making videos, but we were not trained to do any of these things. When I was sharing those emotions, feelings, my actions with you all, I was able to see that there's a consistent pattern. And through that pattern, I was able to understand that I was letting everything happen unconsciously without taking control of it. And that's when I understood, how about if I re-engineer it, reverse engineer it. I take control and I create conscious triggers. If you go back and watch those episodes, I was sharing a lot of things, and if you see, a lot of things were triggers. This happened, that's why I did this. This happened, that's why. No, all those were triggers, and we didn't know that. I didn't know, at least, that there were triggers until I shared it with you. Now, how about creating positive triggers? Let's just say I learned this from, again, uh, Laila Hormozi. If you are going to put your alarm in the bathroom so that you have to literally walk and then snooze the alarm. By that time, you would have been at least awake immediately. Wash your face with cold water. Create triggers. Let it get it automated so that you don't have to decide on every nano step. That's the biggest thing. You have to remove all the decision fatigue in your life if you want to if you want to create something that you're not doing right now, if you want to create your ideal life. So that's about what I would be doing henceforth to work on my procrastination and to create the life that I want. But by the way, we were actually discussing a lot of things regarding this procrastination. I was sharing a lot of things. What did you understand while you were listening? What were your thought process, Surya? I
I
think
think
the
the
best.
best part of this whole episode was deconstructing everything. So as every episode unfolds in our respective lives, and by the way, when you share it, I want you to know, Yogeshwari, you're not just sharing your own stuff, but you are actually a spokesperson of everything that's going on in all our minds. And I'm sure the comments must have given us quite a few very deep insights. And thank you so much for every single one of you who's been going through, and of course all the future comments that are going to come, I'm pretty sure. So for me, it was always about, yeah, when you decide to take control, when you speak about the patterns, which means we already have the skill embedded in us, the skill of recognizing patterns and allowing ourselves to follow through it. So if we are just able to change the narrative, change the starting point, change the belief, just the direction of it, everything changes. Because eventually everything is all about choices and decisions, isn't it? So, and that's exactly why I felt that yesterday's, if the last episode was all about breaking and deconstructing procrastination, let this episode be more of an action. So, it all begins with really taking action. You just use these exact words, right? Like everything happens by itself. We only don't know. And all we have to do is create triggers that automatically breaks procrastination. So if I have to ask you, what are some of the things in your day-to-day life right now? I'm not just talking about right now, maybe last 3 years, 4 years, 5 years, maybe since childhood. What are some of the things that no matter what happens, you will always do? You will do it every day, irrespective of whether it's a weekday, rainy day, monsoon, whatever. What are some of those things that you can talk to us about?
Eating, brushing, sleeping. That's it. That's it. I couldn't remember anything else that I've done continuously no matter what. I've always had the habit of taking breaks in between. Yeah, these are my, I would say, things that I've never missed. I'm a big time foodie. What about you?
So it all comes down to, obviously, you mentioned eating, sleeping, brushing. But then there have been other elements as well. We used phone at times. We will have certain apps that we will go to. If you really see what you just told us is the gross level habits. What I'm doing is, amidst the gross level, I'm just taking one level deeper. And what are some of the things that happens in between those times? Because at the end of the day, we all have 24 hours, right? And whether we know it or not, aware of it or not, we are using up the 24 hours some way or the other. It's just that we are not putting our awareness into it. Now, what if I just take these three examples itself: sleeping, eating, and brushing. If I just take these tasks, we've been doing this from childhood. Again, I'm just taking your examples. We might include one or two of my examples as well, no? Maybe phone use or whatever. What if we are able to create laser focused triggers, like conscious triggers, just like that Laila Hormoz's alarm clock, around these, and decide to focus on putting in those actions? Do you feel that it can create some form of a strategy where procrastination will not even exist in the first place?
Obviously, we can do it. Again, as I said, it's all about the conscious creation of it. We just have to do it once and it gets repeated. The reason that I gave three examples: brushing, eating, sleeping. Obviously, eating and sleeping is something that is the biological need. We we get the alarm inside our body if we skip any of those things. Whereas if I consider the first one, which is brushing, it's a habit that's been inculcated by my parents. They made me brush every single day, and I continue to do it even till now. Most of us are doing it even till now. I didn't say all of us because some of us have the habit of skipping brushing. So it's okay. Now, if I take that example, which is brushing, which is not a biological necessity, man made habit, but we still do that because of the trigger. As soon as you get up, walk into the washroom, brush. It's a unconscious trigger that is there inside. We just have to break whatever we want to do, create that micro steps, and set it. Do it for a week. After that, it will become unconscious, and we'll continue to do it for rest of our life. Can we take some examples and break it down, Surya? Let's just take one simple example and then we'll break it down. How can we create triggers around that and how can we make it happen so that if we don't do it, we cannot help others do it? So let's start with us first. What do you say?
I mean, right now, when we are recording this episode, it's already been 5 days since I've been waking up 4 a.m. in the morning. And I'll give you exactly what is going on in my mind. Moment to moment, I'll crunch it down. The first and foremost thing is, instead of putting an alarm to wake up. Before that, there's an alarm to go to sleep. That's a very good hack that's working for me. So I know sharp. It's if it's 9 o'clock or 9:30 at most, that's it. I'm done. Systems down. I'm on the bed straight away. Now it takes me around half an hour to kind of ease myself in, and because I'm waking up early, I already will fall asleep. Once that is done, then next morning I'm waking up. The moment I'm waking up, I have two separate decisions. Either I wake up or I stay snoozed. Now, even in this context, every decision, there are these questions that we need to, if required, speak it out. But you can also do that mentally, but it's always better to speak it out. So the first, I'll tell you, today morning and day before yesterday. So 5 days, I'm talking about the third day and the fifth day. I literally had to walk myself up and out of the bed to the washroom and ask myself, what am I going to gain if I snooze? What am I going to lose? What am I going to gain if I don't snooze and continue with my day? What am I going to lose? Just this little activity will immediately bulb you on and you will kickstart. But that's not enough, because the first day, I swear to you, I wasted it so badly. I woke up at 4 a.m. in the morning and I sat down on my laptop. I watched so many good content itself, because my YouTube and everything is, I don't get feeds. I've kind of removed all my browse history and everything, but I still went on indulging in music and all these things. And lo and behold, it was 9 o'clock. But I didn't feel that so much of time got wasted, because it was just early in the morning. Are you able to see what's going on? It's, you allow yourself one little moment and it just goes away. It just goes off just like that. So the again, one of the things that I think you and I, we both keep speaking about it, right? Like, and this is where I want your thoughts on also into this before we break down one thing. Of course, the one thing that we are breaking down is the waking up and the brushing part. That's the part where we are concerned about. We're taking that as an example in this podcast. I remember we were discussing about, we want to do everything at one shot. You and I are accountability partners, obviously. So we want to wake up, we want to go for a walk. No, sorry, wake up, do the meditation, do the journaling, go for a walk, come back, take bath, do spiritual practice, bath, and then sit down, learn one course, second course, third course, and then go for our respective works. It doesn't work that way. We try it out, but it never really happens. And yet we look at all these, all those content creators, right? Own your morning, own your day, all of those things, and yet it's so difficult. So how do we really break that? Yeah, please.
And the worst part is when I was doing everything, waking up at 4:30, from 4:30 to 10, owning the morning, like journaling, meditation, walking, exercise, this, that. By the time I was about to do the actual work that is going to earn money for me, I'm exhausted. And I felt like my entire energy got drained. I have nothing left in my body and I have to hit the bed. And then I read a mail. I subscribed to, again, I don't remember. I have to work on my memory. I don't remember the name of the author. I subscribed to one of the productivity coach, and he said that the biohacking, which is working on ourselves and making the most of the time, is not about owning the morning. Probably it might work for someone, not about doing everything in the first chunk, but about making the first 90 minutes to do the thing that matters the most for that day. And the rest of the day, go to the gym, go for a walk. Who's going to stop? That's when I realized, oh, I was actually doing things the other way around. And that's why I couldn't keep up the pattern, and my body was showing signs of exhaustion. And I started questioning, after that exhaustion, I started questioning, okay, if this is what is the exhaustion after the morning routine, how am I going to do the actual work, which is making money? It was my biggest momentum breaker. After that, I remember I never did such intense morning routine after that. And then it all went down the hill for me. Have you have you felt Did you also felt anything like that? Okay, my grammar is getting messed up. Did you also feel anything like that during that period? Yeah, that's my question for you.
Before I answer that, the grammar is the contagious, Yogeshwari. It is what it is. I mean, it's just the impact of you talking to me. Being an English professor, messing up grammar, quite possible. When when I look back at my internship days, right, I do recall that there would be that level of exhaustion. But at the same time, I knew that I have to go to college. If I don't go to college, then I'll not get the attendance. If I don't get the attendance, I'll have to continue going to college, and the cycle will never end. And the reason I did so was majorly because I looked at the worst case scenario that would be in front of in front of me. So let's understand this a little bit, okay? We go for our jobs because if we don't go, then we will not get paid in our salary at the end of the month. If we don't pay our salary, we will not be able to clear our EMIs. If we don't clear our EMIs, we'll be on debts. We'll be neck deep in debts, and then the cycle continues. We'll not be able to pay our expenses and everything, and we'll die. So it's our animal instinct, it's our fight, fright, flight response that makes us go to our work. The same way, now that you asked me this question, I'm able to recall if I was able to stick to the routine, I had two options, same like you. I could have continued asking myself the same set of questions. Oh my God, is it making me, if I'm exhausted by, back then I used to be exhausted by what, 7:30 in the morning. The worst part is when you do that full-fledged workout and yoga and you sweat so much and then you take bath, the only thing you want to do is just sleep. And especially in a hostel, they would give hot idlis, no sambar. The fumes are coming out like that. Imagine eating 7 8 such idlis because you worked out so much. You have to eat, right? And when you eat, the first instinct is, let's have a nap right now. And that's when I want to bring in Robin Sharma's metaphor. Like, he says 66 days you do something and it becomes your habit. 66 days, everything is hard in the middle, hard in the beginning, messy in the middle, beautiful at the end. So the first 22 days is going to be hard. The second 22 days is when you'll be completely crushed. But then once that 44 days are done, then you start moving towards, and this is the same pattern that Ankur Warikoo also talks about. He went from overweight to this super handsome hunk fitness. I met him in person and I was able to feel how he breathes every single thing and how he's a man of habits, he's a man of systems. Same thing for Robin Sharma. So what if we are able to think of the worst case scenario now? The worst case scenario of what happens if we don't do our work? What happens if we don't do our workout? What if we are able to set references for that as well as an alarm system? So for me, that would be, if I'm not working out, I'm going to be obese. If I'm obese, I'm going to die of a heart attack, but I'll not die. I will suffer. I'll not be able to eat anything. I'll blot up so much that I'll not even be able to walk. I'll have such big expenses for nurses and medicines and all those expensive therapies that is coming in. We know we've seen our the generation above, how much they are suffering, right? Even our own loved ones, how much they are suffering. So that's what is going on in my mind right now and what is making me wake up in the morning. Does that clarify to some extent? And what are your thoughts what's going on in your mind when I'm giving you these little examples and reference?
I completely get it. For people like you who can envision, okay, if I don't do this right now, in the future, I'm going to suffer. It is easy to anchor on that. But what about people like me, where I know it's going to be difficult in the future, but still, I don't know. I don't feel the intensity. I don't feel it. So, what about people like me? How can we anchor that?
So now this entire situation came in my life. I'm taking the example of the time when I decided to move out of home to a new city. See, I just finished dentistry. I came back. You know the entire story. Came back home, and everything is supposed to be perfect, right? Elder son has come back after 5 dedicated years of studies and all. Now he'll be with us. He'll become a doctor and all. But so they've had certain expectations, my parents, and they kept pounding me with the expectations. What will the society say? What will you tell the relatives? You already told that you know, and I couldn't take it anymore. What was supposed to be my comfort zone did was not my comfort zone, and then I had to move out. Moving out of the city where I don't have to pay any rent, I don't have to pay for food. Maybe I just have to pay whatever I'm earning a part of it to for the maintenance, whatever the expenses and all, but everything is sorted. But I decided to take it out so that I move out of my comfort zone. So whether we know it or not, it always comes down to our passion, our our energy, our commitment, and most importantly, the self respect that we have. So, for me, I know that if I don't wake up anymore, I don't deserve to look at myself. I mean, I don't look at myself in the mirror. I hate looking at myself in the mirror. And I know for sure that today, if I don't work on myself, I am going to lose the most important relationships in this world, which is the people I love the most. They will leave me. They will for sure leave me. The second is I will lose a relationship with myself. Now, I've been through anxiety attack, I've been through panic attack. I know how much it hurts. And the worst part is when you're in that zone, no one is there to help you. I can guarantee it. All the more why all our courses that we create, right? If you go to Udemy and you write Yogeshwari Suryadeep, you will see that all our courses, none of them are more than, what's that, $12. $9. It's never more than less than the cost of a what a coffee. You will get to learn from us because we want to make all these things that we were taught in school and college, want to make it affordable to people. So I don't want to suffer, and I don't want others to suffer because of me. So for you, I'm sure, I'm 110% sure, even if you tell me you don't have any relatives, you don't have any family members, you don't have any friends and all, there has to be one or two such people in your life who means more to you than you mean to yourself. You not it all starts from there. If I don't do this, I'm going to lose that person also. And would you want to lose that person? What would happen if you do? What is going to be your life if you do so? If you lose those people, you already lost yourself, you lost them as well. The people who probably trusted you the most, loves you the most, supports you the most, you lost them as well. Because eventually you will realize that once they also leave, then I have to take control, otherwise I'll perish. Survival of the fittest. And on top of that, anchor it with what happens if I do it. What's going to be the flip side? So, what's the worst case scenario? And then the best case scenario. By default, you're giving yourself every possible logical and rational reason to go through it. And this you will do only for today and tomorrow. You don't have, like, I never thought that I'm going to wake up for 5 days at 4 a.m. in the morning. I just said to myself, I'll just wake up today. Yeah, today I was able to wake up. Oh, fantastic. Now let's do it tomorrow. Let's make the most of this morning. Was I able to do all my morning routines? No, I did not do anything until 5:30 a.m. Of course, my job demands me to attend certain sessions, so I'm attending the session. That's it. But I've given myself those specific reasons, the reasons that are already, you mentioned the word patterns right at the start of today's podcast. It's just following through and using it for me and not against me. From what I understand, and correct me if I'm wrong, okay? You mentioned people like you. People like you are legends. Either they're the worst creatures in the society. Creatures like I'll compare it to this insect called leeches. They stick and they don't leave you. No, those worms. Either they are like that, completely sucks you out, or they are the ones who build something so big that they literally create a revolution. Now it's all about, if you decide that you're going to do something, the world will fall apart, still you will do it. So if you know that, if you are aware of that, why not start to make the most of it? That's my question. What are your thoughts now?
I really like the leech and the legend comparison. For some reason, it is rhyming as well. And yeah, it's true that people like us, if we decide, nothing can stop us. Just that decision is so difficult. And I completely understand that I don't have to do it for all my life. I just have to do it today and tomorrow. Now, this is making me a little lighter, feel a little lighter, that I don't have to take it as a struggle, as a battle, and like, "Ugh, I have to do it." Nothing like that. When you were sharing, I was actually getting these bulb ons where how you also faced the same situation and how you approached it. It's all about the situation can be same, different approaches gives different results, different outcomes. So here I have a very simple question for you. Let's just say right now I'm inspired with what you said, that if we decide, we can get it done. And I want to get it done right now. What would be the first two steps for me to take? All I want to do is these two things until the next episode. I'll be doing it. I'll be coming back and I'll be sharing my update with you. What would be that?
Even before I share that, it's so weird. We thought we will be recording two episodes back to back, but already we are getting the notification at the top, okay, that 10 minutes is left. Important for all of you to understand, okay? We are using Zoom, the timed option, okay? Coming to the answer. The first and the foremost thing is to ride the wave. So if I have just attended a 3-day seminar which teaches me about how to fix my life, I'll not let that energy go. Not let it drop. Rather, I will ensure that the next 1 or 2 days I'm pumping myself up with either knowledge, implementation skill set, something or the other that anchors it in. The second thing is, we all know that there are certain moments in our day when we are at that peak state where you feel the fire, like I'm ready to eat fire right now, I'm going to crush this particular day. There are moments to sit down and write down those moments and mark that in your Google Calendar as your flow zones. During the flow zones, you're not doing anything else other than the specific work that you're meant to do. Now, it really doesn't matter what time of it. For some people, it's just afternoon after lunch, that 2 hours slot after lunch. For some people, it's the morning when you decide to wake up, the first 2 hours of the morning. For some people, it is the first 2 hours when they sit down for work after their busy and boring morning meetings and all. They just sit down and they want to finish their work. Let's face it, whether we like it or not, we are surviving in our jobs because we are doing at least doing our jobs. So finding it, I have this concept called the concept of meta learning. Meta is learning how to learn. So in this case, you got to do meta observation, observing your existing patterns. So these would be the immediate two steps that you need to take. You're fired up. So put everything aside, even before you do any of the tasks that sucks that entire thing away. Sit down and do something about it. Either read a book, 1 page or two. Decide that you want to read a book, read the book. You want to make some notes, make some notes. You want to prepare topics for the next 1 or 2 podcasts, just do that. You want to sit down and brainstorm about what business plan that you're going to do and how you're going to execute it, do it. And the second thing is observe your entire day, set those flow zones. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, that beautifully summarizes my question and also gives me that clarity that I'm just rephrasing what you just said. I don't have to, just because I watched a video where some coach said that, oh, I get up in the morning, I just do this, I do that, or I do it in the night, in the middle of the night, that's my flow zone. So I don't have to stick exactly to what works for them. Rather, I need to find what works for me according to my patterns. That's number one. And then finding that flow zone, doing the work that's going to move the needle for me in that flow zone, nothing else. And then doing meta observation about every reaction, every emotions that I'm going through, finding out the pattern. So these are the two steps that I have to take. And I would really love if our audience, if you are also in the same situation like me, do it with me. Comment in the chat, how is it working for you? You don't have to stick to what works for others. You have to just find out what works for you and then create a legendary transformation for you. With that, we would be concluding this episode, and we'll be coming back with some interesting, amazing stuffs in the next episode. I'm going to hand over it to Surya for the final few words.
I went for Vipassana, and initially there was a lot of hype. Yeah, finally I'm going to do Vipassana. The last time I did Vipassana, it was an online experience. I somehow managed to do it. Didn't do it beyond the third day. Even in this case, I was not able to do it beyond the third day. Came back. But in those 3 days, and Vipassana is an experience where you're cut off from the world. You're not allowed to speak. You're not allowed to make any sounds. Your phones and everything is taken away. You just have to be in the room and you just have to meditate. And it's a very intense one, completely free all across the world. It's available. In that, the very first exercise that they teach us is called observing your breath. The breath is coming out, the breath is going in, breath is coming out. Now, I don't really remember any of the theoretical stuff that they said in the discourses and everything, but all I remember is whenever I'm doing something or the other, my focus comes back to the breath because I've observed it for the first time in my life. And that's the irony for all of us. We are talking about procrastination because we eventually don't even want to go back the very fundamental reason why we exist from one moment to the next, which is our breath. And if that's the point where we begin, that's the head start we already have. One of the things that I am going to be doing at the end of the video is to analyze what happens if this breath stops. What are the possibilities? And the answers that you'll start getting will shock you. On the other side, what happens if the breath flows? And what am I doing about it? You start with clarity, you start with awareness, it flows. It's a switch that just needs to be turned on. The word but can either be used as a contradiction, and that's what's going to continue to push you into procrastination, or you can use the word but to really transcend beyond this little thing that's holding you back and unleash the best version of yourself. I did it. Round one was in 2019. My life has never been the same. Round two is what's happening right now, and I know it's definitely going to be big. So with that, I wish the same for you as well while you're watching this with us. Yogeshwari, thank you so much for doing this. I think if last episode was bang on, I think this was even more deeper clarity, and we got some solutions. I would love for you to sum up and close today's podcast. Over to you.
Thank you so much for that Vipassana experience that you shared with us. Yes, when breath stops, we won't be alive. And when you were sharing, I was actually kurafati dimag when you asked me what would happen if the breath stops. I was like, we'll die. But when you ask the second question, what are you doing when your breath flows in? Right now, I'm so grateful that I'm breathing. But what am I doing for the second? Thankfully, the second I'm recording podcast with you. But what am I doing when my breath flows? Am I grateful? Am I making the most of it? Am I doing what I'm supposed to do? Am I giving the life that my loved ones are supposed to get through me? Now, that was a big bulb on. Thank you so much. It all started with me sharing how procrastinative I am. I don't know whether that's the right word or not. I have to fix my English. Oh my God, what happened to me? Okay. I, it all started there, sharing the challenges, and then slowly moving forward to, in order to fix this, just we need to do two things. Number one is finding your flow state. Number two, meta learning, observing the emotions. And finally, breath work, observing the flow of the breath. If it stops, we won't get the second chance. As long as it's there, let's make the most of it. Let's be grateful. Let's let's consider every breath that we take as a golden minute that we cannot get back if we waste it. With that, I know it's so heavy. Let's breathe. Let's relax. See you in the next episode. Bye bye.